Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy middle of the month, middle of the quarter. I can't believe we are 2 weeks away from finishing the second month of the year. I'm still saying Happy New Year to people.
Yeah, me too.
It's going back by so fast. I can't believe it. But I'm super excited to be here today with Sandra Perez Botero, a very dear friend. And just to talk about reinvention, because it's exactly, I think, what we're going through, right? In life, in
Yep.
everything that's happening
Yep.
around the world, both personally, professionally, in different spaces. And one thing that I know that we need to do is we can't stay still. We can't stay the way we were because life is no longer what it was not even 5 years ago, what it was last year.
Let's
It's a completely different thing. So if we're stuck, if we're not moving forward, if we're not reinventing ourselves, then we're not going to be in a good place. And as somebody that that needs structure, as somebody that needs like I like change, but I always say I like control change.
mm,
Like just like push me into the no man's land and I'm gonna freak out. Like I need my structure, I need my everything being like all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted. So reinvention definitely is something that I like, but I need it like a structure. And that's why I love having this conversation with you, Sandra, because that's where we connect. That's the
yeah.
engineering, the chemical
Yes,
engineering
I was
mindset.
about that. Absolutely.
On you tell me the process, I'll run with the process. But if you don't tell me the process, I'll just be like a deer on the
Yeah.
headlights. So let's start there. Let's the audience, if you can share with the audience a little bit about you and how you came to work in what you're currently working in, which is I think pretty amazing.
Thank you, Ilhiana. I'm so happy to be here. I'm thrilled to share a little bit about my own reinvention journey. Each time that someone asks me about my career, I have kind of trouble to explain. As you said, I'm a chemical engineer. And I've been working in innovation for 20 years, but innovation is a broad scope. I started in new product development in the CPG industry. Then I moved to brand innovation, leading big themes in the launching of products across Latin America, creating new business models. Then I moved to human resources. So people told me, what are you doing in human resources? Yes, I moved to human resources to help organizations to apply the same way of thinking and doing of innovation, but to any kind of challenges in a corporate. Then I started my own consultancy to help another organizations to innovate. And in 2019, I had maybe the biggest challenge of all. It was moving from Latin America to Massachusetts. And I started focusing on personal reinvention, but in a way that I discovered I was stuck. I have to say that I have stuck. And then I realized that exactly the same way of thinking, as you said, the same process, the same design process that I use for new products, new businesses, challenges in the corporate setting, I can use the same way of thinking and doing to innovate in myself and reinvent myself. So that's why and how I became kind of I don't know, career strategist, a design and personal life strategist.
I love that. I had not thought about it that way, but you're right. Like when we think about our career, we do not apply strategy. We do not apply planning. We literally go to work, and you and I have talked about how our careers or our lives like are very similar in terms of you're doing something, and then suddenly you're like, I have no idea where I'm going. Where I thought something was very clear and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And how can you how can you get out of that place? How can you move out of that space to then be able to envision a new future, envision a new way to bring value, to create impact, while still leaning into your zone of genius,
Core. Yeah.
right? The core of who you are.
Yeah.
So then that helps you bring forward. And tell me more about like personal reinvention, because I think that is something that we need to constantly now keep in mind, as it's not a one and done deal. I feel like I did the same thing around 2018, so we were in the same time frame trying to like reinvent ourselves. And this morning I was just telling you, like, I was talking to my husband, like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going on my fourth reinvention. And it's only been like 6 years since the first one, right? So tell us more about, like, how do you approach personal reinvention, and why is it something that we all need to keep in mind?
Yeah, Ilhiana, as you said, there are several external reasons why we need to reinvent. Industries are changing, technology is changing, people live longer. We want more from our lives. And usually, or sometimes, we just react. Something happens and we react. The beauty of reinvention and the beauty to adopt a designer mindset is to take control, as you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation. Not to take control to, I need to everything be in the place that I want to be, but take control in the sense that recognize that you don't have all the answers. That, for me, that was my first step. Because I was worried about, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't have the answers. Once I accept that I don't have the answers, and that's where an innovation process begins, I can start looking for the answer, and I can start searching, observing, discovering. It's a process that you can take in your hands and take action, deliberate, mindful action to reinvent yourself. I love a quote from Jack Welch that says that if the speed of the things outside is bigger than the speed of change outside exceeds the speed of change within, the end is near. Of course, he put it in the context of business and corporations, but exactly the same applies for us. If we see that things are changing and the speed of the outside change outpace our own change, we are in trouble. We are in trouble.
This is super important what you just said, and I just wrote down the quote because I think it's a fabulous quote. I have not heard it. As a coach, and even in my own life, right? We are really good at justifying things and saying, things are changing, but I'm changing as well, or but it's not somebody else's fault, or it doesn't affect me, or all of these things. How are there signs? Because sometimes the signs are you just hit the wall and that's it. Like you have no other option. But are there signs for us to be able to start realizing it's not somebody else? You can't justify it. Like it really is, you're not changing as fast as others or other things are changing. Or do we just need to crash into the wall and then go like, oh, I think I needed to like reinvent myself?
That's the beauty of innovation, and that's why I use my previous experience into this new field, because it's exactly what happens with organizations. I don't know, in the food business, you in your company, you're doing well, your business is not so exciting, not growing 2 digits, but yeah, I'm still having sales and my clients are happy with me. And you start looking at the competitors. Or maybe you see something that is happening in, let's say, Japan. Most of the time, people say, no, that's not going to affect me because it's happening in Japan. So we're not open to see trends. And if we see the trends, we think that it doesn't apply to us. That's the risk number one. Then we say, okay, my customers still love me. They are still buying from me. The same applies for us. My boss, no, we have a good relationship. My coworkers, yeah, I'm not very happy at my work, but it's fine. I don't want to look for another thing. We are not aware of the changes of perceptions in our customers, internal stakeholders. Risk number two. And then our capabilities. Oh my God, I have 20 years of experience in innovation. I have a lot of capabilities, but I'm losing sight of technology, or I'm losing sight of the impact of AI. No, this is not going to affect me. Risk number three. But the worst of all is behind all these three risks is our own paradigms. And that's a practice that we need to practice our own mindset to questioning ourselves constantly. If you are in doubt, probably you need something to change. You can. It's easy to put your head in the dust like a avestruz and just close your eyes, but it's not going to serve you. Eventually, change comes for you.
Oh my God, yes. And does it come for us? As an expert in reinvention, not only in like the businesses that you led and the people that you serve today, but also just in general, like your own experience, do you have any like strategies on how to go about these effective, I'm going to call it in the quotes, because we don't know if it's effective or not for many of us, right? It was sometimes it feels like we go like this, reinvention.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, again, the similarity is with a product. I see myself now that I moved from Latin America to the States as a product in a new market. So I need to recognize that every product has a life cycle. I need to admit that I have a life cycle. So I need to first strategy, understand where am I today, where you are today. That means your market, your work, your capabilities. That's the very first step, where you are. Then you need to be mindful with your own abilities and capabilities. And a really, really good practice that helps me a lot was to create an inventory of your abilities and capabilities. We lose sight of what we had done, we know, we are able to do, and that's important to do that. Maintain an inventory of your capabilities. That's your data. Ask for feedback because that helps you to move away of your blind spots. A third strategy is understand different business models. What that means in the personal context, that means that you can be an employee, but you can try to be an entrepreneur. You can set experiments to learn maybe about different interests. Join a board of directors, volunteer, consulting. So it's be mindful of your surroundings, but at the same time, be mindful about yourself. It's a double way understanding of the context, to say something like that.
I love everything that you're saying, because I think it's very important for us to, one, take a pause. That's part of what I'm hearing you say, that we need, in order to move forward. Sometimes it's not just moving
Mhm.
forward. Like, we need to take a moment of reflection. And I love that you talk about that inventory of our abilities and our capabilities, and just reflection of, where am I now? Because I don't know, I'm not going to know where I'm going if I don't know where I am today.
Yes.
And the second that I think is critically important is recognizing that we don't know what we don't know. That's a
Yes.
reality.
Yep.
And if we don't ask for feedback, if we don't realize that we need to gather information from other places, either people,
Mm.
or reading stories, or looking at what's happening, like what are the latest trends, it's going to be very hard for us to then recognize that we're living in a bubble.
Yep.
Because normally, most of us, or all of us, like, we create our own bubbles, where we may
Yeah.
thrive, or where we may just be in our comfort zone.
Yep.
But if we don't consistently, I love what you're saying, consistently pausing to do that inventory, to say, am I still moving forward, or am I just comfortably stuck where I am? And that can be okay too. Like, you can be comfortably stuck and say, this is where I want to be, and that's
Yeah.
okay, right? But at least you're aware. And the other thing that called my attention of what you're saying, and I would love to hear more, is about these, understanding the different models. I see it, again, as somebody that lacks stability very much. I remember starting my career saying, this is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to be in corporate my whole life. I'm going to retire, and that's going to be my path, because that's what I saw from my dad, and that's how I envisioned. But today, that is not something that most of us are going to be doing, right? We're going to be not only going like this, but we're going to be going like this. And to your point, like, writing a book, and putting the hat of the entrepreneur, and having my 9 to 5, and doing so many, being an advisor, and being on a board, and having my nonprofit, and serving here. And I don't think we know how to do that unless we understand from others those different models. Tell us a little bit more about how you have been able to bring that into into a strategy that helps people as they redefine their reinvention.
Yeah, absolutely. I I've been always juggling with different things because I love to try different things. But last year, I read a book from Christina Wallace. The book is called The Portfolio Life. And the book helped me realize that we all need to create a portfolio in the same sense that we create a portfolio of investment. We need to be able, or it's a good practice to think in terms of portfolio from our own life. So the first step is from our inventory of capabilities and of course, our inventory of desires and values, or what we want to do, or what we are. Create the, I created, and the book recommends create a Venn diagram. From all the data analysis, create a Venn diagram. And that recognize that every time of now is more difficult than ever to be happy with just one path. People don't stay in jobs as used to be 10 or 20 years ago. People want more. And that's challenging to try to get everything from just one path. And also from a strategic point of view, is risky to maintain all your eggs in the same basket. So how can you try different things? And that's where also the design mindset help us to start experimenting. Experimenting is, okay, I have my 9 to 5 job, but I don't feel super happy. I cannot quit my job. What kind of experiments can I start? Can I be a moonlighter? So that means start to thinking a business during the night. Can I join a volunteer to learn if I want to do something different, even if it's a completely different field from what I'm doing right now? Can I spend time with people that are absolutely different from me, from other fields, that doesn't have anything to do with my current job, to learn if there is something there that can be a path for me? A portfolio, not to say that you need to start 20 different experiments because you don't have time or energy. We don't have time and energy to do that, but 2 or 3 ways to explore the things that give you fulfillment, that brings you joy, like a portfolio. What's your portfolio of activities that bring you, maybe the money came from the regular job, but the fulfillment of the community engagement came from another side. So trying to put different things and create different value for different experiments, different business models at the end.
I love that. And I have never heard about the Moonlighter reference. So I also jotted it down because I think that was me for a very long time, like thinking about the other business at night. What happens, and I don't know about you, but I hear it a lot with my clients or with potential clients or just with people that I chat. And it's the excuse, I don't have time. All of this sounds very nice, but I don't have time because, to your point, I need to focus on my 9 to 5, which is no longer 9 to 5. It's almost like, 6 to 11 o'clock, 6 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, and I still need to sleep. And like, how would you approach it, or what do you recommend in terms of strategies, and to say this is something that maybe can be woven into your daily practices? I don't know. I'm a creature of habit. I do need my regular habits that I have, daily practices that I have. Do you have any thoughts, any recommendations?
Yeah, it's sorry, I'm going to repeat the same, because it's the same thing that I hear when I go to a company. They said we don't have time for innovation, because we see, sometimes people see that innovation is something that happens outside of our regular daily day. But the point is, how can you make innovation, and in this case, your reinvention, a habit? How can you start integrating small practices in your day-to-day? There is also a practice that, how can you, if you are not 100% happy with your life as it is right now, you should be able to find at least 2-3 things during your day that brings you happiness, and find a small way to make it more interesting, to make it more enjoyable, to change a little bit. As a matter of fact, one of the creativity exercises, the simplest of all creativity exercises, is try and need a different way to go to work every day. In places like Bogota, that's not possible, but in other places, it's kind of what I want to say is the mindset. If I'm in a job that asks me to do repetitive tasks, how can I make it in a different way? And the point with the reinvention and change your life and design your life, it does not mean that you need to change completely who you are. And from day 0, I'm going to break with everything that I've been to this point, and I'm going to be a new one. Many of us cannot afford that luxury, but I'm sure that we can find every single day a small way to change. a small way to change. What if I do this in this way? What if I try this? What if I reach someone? What if while I'm driving or commuting, I listen to a podcast about something different? Your brain and your heart need information, need data to process and to create new things. And everything can be data to help you with your own reinvention process.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's going to become the quote and the challenge and the invitation of the day. What are you going to do different today? And we'll make sure that we create a challenge around that, because you're right. There is a moment to like just have different breakfast, or just, bring up a different routine, talk to a different person, do something. And it's such a seemingly simple thing to do, but it can open doors to new possibilities that you had not even thought of. Any final words? We're coming to the end of it, and I feel like we still have so much more that we could talk about this topic, so we'll have to make a part 2 about this.
I will love it. I will love it.
Any like final things that you would like to share, advice, anything, and how can people find you?
Yeah, for me, if you leave this chat with one idea, is we are our own designers. We are our own designers. Of course, there are a lot of things that just happens. There are a lot of things that are external that we need to react and adapt. But there are also a lot of things that we can take in our control and do something. And reinvention doesn't mean to change everything. It's start with small bets, small experiments. I would love to share 2 tools. Probably I put it later on the chat. If you visit my website, sandraperezbotero.com, in the section of tools, there is a dashboard for goal setting that starts with the vision and also with the conviction that if companies and brands work every day in their strategies, every year they challenge their strategies, why we as professionals don't do the same? So that's the first resource, the dashboard. And the second one that is also in the tool section is a positioning pyramid. It's a tool that helped me when I work with brands. And now I adapt it to think in your own personal brand. What makes you unique? What makes you unique? So I would love to continue talking and sharing. I'm passionate about this topic. You can find me in my website, sandraperezbotero.com. Same here in LinkedIn.
I love that. And you can also find Sandra and many other amazing Latinas on United Latinas, because that's what this organization, this community is all about. For all of us to come together, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We all have these amazing information and zone of genius. And just by talking to each other, you can definitely find your new path and reinvent yourself continuously. Thank you, Sandra, so much for being here with us today. Everybody, remember, we have our 5th annual and first in-person Latina Leadership Conference happening here in Boston, Massachusetts on March 28th. So put it on their calendar, look at it on our website, unitedlatinas.com. You'll be able to see all the event. This year's topic is Brave Voices, because each and every one of us have so much to say, and we just coming together will have the ability, the capacity, and the courage to say and to let the world how wonderful and the impact and the value that we bring to it. So join us. It's going to be a spectacular conference. We have so many surprises that you will just come out of it so empowered for the remainder of the year. So look at that. And then we have other events as always coming up. And we have local chapters. We have Washington, we have Chicago, we have North Carolina, we have several Jacksonville that are already planning and launching their events, Atlanta as well. So join us, be a part of this wonderful community. Sandra, thank you again so much for
Thank you,
being here with
Ilhiana.
us.
Thank you so much.
And
It was
everybody,
amazing.
have a wonderful rest of your week and see you next week on Cafecito Power Break.
Gracias.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.